Hey, glad to see you. You've made it to the org. Hello and welcome to Extra a Word. I'm your host, Jonathan. I'm here on the set of the org to speak with a special guest. We would be recording a normal episode, but these are some special circumstances which will be explained shortly. Please welcome to the program, Jay. I'm really glad you could make it. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. Thank you for having me on the program.
We were talking the other day on the Apostate Coalition Discord page, and you were telling me that you'd like to do more. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I've been very angry at the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses. They have caused so much pain and suffering to families. I just need to fight back. The problem is, I'm PMO, so I have to be very careful what I do. Someone could figure out who I am and cause me and my family a lot of trouble.
Right. That's why I suggested coming on the show, so you could say what you wanted to say and not have to worry about your identity.
I appreciate that. It's so hard being a PMO when you want to tell everybody to wake up, but you can't.
That's true. When we were talking, you mentioned some things that had to do with Stephen Lett's comments at the recent convention. Let's have a look and see what he had to say. Kenneth, can we roll the clip, please?
Decided I finally get to be useful. Coming right up. There's a lot to choose from here. Okay, here it comes. Thanks, Cartoon Kenneth Cook.
Friendship with God, how possible? Now, if we think about it, we're not born as friends of God because we're born as sinful offspring of Adam. Actually, we think about it, we're born as enemies of God. Sometimes you'll hear people say of a little baby, "Look at that little angel." But more accurate would be to say, "Look at that little enemy of God." Children are not born with the godly quality of love. In fact, because of imperfection, they're born with the opposite. Often a tendency to be selfish. They grab things, mine, mine, mine.
We get so many little letters from beautiful little children. Why? Well, parents tell them that we're something, the governing body. You ought to write the governing body, honey. And they do. They draw pictures of us good night alive.
This tendency toward greed becomes manifest very early. For example, as we see little toddlers grab things and hold them tightly. Mine, mine, mine. Young children have a tendency to eat what they like, regardless of its nutritional value. Most young ones would be perfectly happy eating ice cream, candy, cookies, and other sweets for all of their meals.
Nice for him, and it's not helping you. Nope. This is to you personally. He's got to make you firm, not Grandpa. Jehovah has got to make you firm. And we have that opportunity to have all that love and interest of those strong in the truth, but this is personal. We've always made that point very clear. And your young ones, we've been entreating you, you've got to get that clear. Especially as you get older, the only way you're getting through this storm, the great one, is your relationship with God, your personal relationship, just like everybody else. Unless you're a toddler, we know how Jehovah will sanctify them. But as you get older, you are responsible. Remember the nice demo? We've mentioned that before. Well, I'm not ready to get baptized. Okay, let's hold off on your driver's license. What? I'm 16. What are you talking about? I'm ready. I know I'm ready. Yeah, you're ready for a driver's license, but you're not ready to dedicate your life. Explain that one to heaven.
Play, play, and more play. Most of their life is fun and games. But later, when the child goes to school, where does he get the time to do so? He has to take it from his playtime. But now, spiritually speaking, we can ask ourselves, how far have we progressed in buying out time from our play? We could have discussed other negative traits to be avoided, such as children tend to have a short attention span. They're easily distracted. Their curiosity often gets them into trouble. And they generally need a lot of time and attention. They're high maintenance.
So, based on the clips that we just saw, how do you feel about the men in charge of the organization?
So if you have a child, stepchild, toddler, or infant, what stranger would you let watch your child? Probably you would say I wouldn't unless it was an emergency situation or something along those lines. So my question is, would you let a member of the governing body babysit your child?
No, I can't say that I would. I don't really trust them with adults, let alone with children.
Ex-witness awake. Cartoon Tony Morris here. Need I remind you that I have two beautiful sons who turned out just fine? I don't think it's fair to imply that we don't know what we're doing when it comes to kids. I've even introduced the Caleb and Sophia videos, for goodness sake. You tell them about those boys of yours, Tony. They're great.
Oh, hi, Cartoon Tony. We're trying to do an interview here, but I appreciate your comments anyway. Think of it this way. Imagine having to be rushed to the hospital.
I'm a little worried about the quality of care I'm going to need. Is everyone qualified for this surgery?
No need to worry. Our hospital staff comes highly recommended. A full 12.5%, or 1 in 8 of the nurses and doctors have had previous experience with this procedure. But I assure you, we know what we are doing.
Hey, where did you go?
That's weird. He was just here. Well, I guess it's time for lunch.
Do you see my point, Tony? Only 1 in 8 have experience as a parent. That doesn't instill a lot of confidence in parents who really think about it.
He's got a point there, Sergeant Slaughter. Hey, nobody asked you, Brother Turd. Don't forget, ex-witness awake. Everything we publish is taken from God's word.
What do you think about that, Jay?
The scriptures you use are the most twisted version of the Bible. Real Bible scholars have said as much. Plus, how many innocent babies and young children were killed in the Bible? Too many to count. Also, many of the doctrines you preach are just your own interpretations meant to further your narratives. I personally don't trust you to think of the best interests of children. You are happy to see them die from the no-blood doctrine, just to make a point.
I think you've interrupted Jay long enough, Cartoon Tony. Goodbye. Sorry about that, Jay. You brought up some good points. Is there any advice you want to give to other PMOs out there?
My advice for PMOs is to do the best you can to take care of yourself first. This might sound like a me-first attitude, but it's not. It is the programming that the organization gave you that is what makes one think this way. If you don't take care of yourself first, then you won't be able to help anyone else. I don't have the answers, but I know what it is like to realize that I have lied to for my entire life. It sucks, and then I have RTS. I can't talk about it with my friends and family, because they don't understand and they might not ever.
RTS. What is that?
RTS stands for Religious Trauma Syndrome.
Ah, yes, that is something you kind of have to experience in order to understand. I wanted to ask you, have you had doubts for a long time? Can you talk about some of your history as a young person?
Yes, even when I was young, some things just didn't seem right. Some of my history, though, I have a memory from school. I'm a little boy in the 1st grade, and I have a substitute teacher, and for some reason, a few aides are in the classroom that day. It's time to say the Pledge of Allegiance. The aide was trying to help me. She was doing her job, but I fought her hand as she tried to put it on my chest again and again and again, and then I started to cry. so I was trying to be a good little Jehovah's Witness. But then I think about other times. When I was older, why did I Google when did ancient Jerusalem fall? Must have been something in me that wondered. Looking for confirmation maybe. Though why I questioned is difficult to answer because I think I always did on some level.
That makes me think back to why my dad stopped going. He told me it wasn't in his heart, so maybe it was similar with you. Maybe it just wasn't in your heart, and that is why you were always questioning things.
I wish I knew for sure, but even when 9/11 happened I remember people saying they were excited because the end has to be close, and I was upset because so many people had died, but in all honesty I was fully indoctrinated at the time.
You're right. There's little to no care about people, and just a fantasy about the end coming. Even the governing body has a fantasy about actually destroying non-Jehovah's Witnesses when the end comes.
Stephen, this is more fun than I ever could have imagined. I must have killed 200,000 in the last hour. Whew, love it.
It is good to be king, Jeffrey Jackson. I think I'm up to 250,000 so far. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so before you were saying that you questioned things early on, does that mean that you weren't a true believer?
I really did believe it was the truth for most of my life. When something didn't make sense I figured it was me and it would make sense later. For example, the overlapping generation. But it didn't wake me up because I thought it was just me not understanding the teachings.
The overlapping generations is a big problem for a lot of JWs who grew up watching those anointed people getting older and older and becoming fewer and fewer. The new light they come up with is just ridiculous sometimes.
The New Light doctrine I questioned for a long time and made it so I was open to questioning other doctrines, but I thought it was me that was the problem. If you walk into a dark room and you think you see something on a table, is a cup but there is a little more light, and you realize it's a can not a cup, then you get a little more light and you can see it is a red can. Then you get a little more light and you can see it is a soda can. Then you get a little more light and now you can see what brand of soda it is. So now you know you have a can of soda and what brand of soda it is. When the light gets a little brighter, it doesn't all of a sudden become a paper coffee cup from your favorite coffee shop. That is what the New Light teaching is like.
I myself am glad that you were able to finally come awake. I'm sure our viewers feel the same. Thank you for a peek into how you woke up. We just about run out of time, unfortunately, so did you have any final thoughts when it comes to activism?
You may be limited in what you can get away with, but something is better than nothing. Even if it's just leaving a comment in the comment section of a video. You can use an alias and plant some seeds of doubt. You can spread some real truth about what's really going on.
Thank you so much, Jay. That is all the time that we have for this week, so please tune in again next time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Bye!
Look at me. I'm a lion. Roar.